Hello, it's Natasha with Cricut, and today we're going to do something really fun. I've been making Christmas pillows and they are so fun. I'm using infusible ink to make them. So that's an example of a pillow I've made. I've also made these pillows that say Silent Night and Holy Night, and these pillow covers, or these pillow shams, are from our infusible ink line, and so you can totally customize them. They're perfect for the holidays, perfect for your own home decor, or they're perfect as gifts to really personalize or customize whatever you want. So let me tell you exactly what we'll need today. First, we'll need a Cricut cutting machine. I'm using my Cricut Maker today, and we'll need some infusible ink, just like a measuring tape and scissors. We have our Cricut pillow covers here, of course, and then we have my EasyPress mat, a lint roller, and my EasyPress, as well as some butcher paper. So let's get started on Design Space. I've started creating this design, but I just want to add a few more Christmas trees. So I'm going to go into the images and search Christmas trees. And I'm going to add this guy and this tree. So we'll insert those into my canvas, and then I'm just going to choose the size and place that I want to put them. So we'll put this right about here, and we'll put this there. I think that will be really cute. Okay, so I'm going to group these together and weld, and I want to do it in black infusible ink. So I'm going to save this project, and let's start cutting. So I'm going to turn on my machine, and I'm going to hit Make It in Design Space. But first, I want to measure how big I want my design. So I'm going to move these aside, and we're going to use this pillow cover. So I will take out my measuring tape here and decide how big I want this to be. So I want to make this as big as possible. So I'm going to resize this to be 10 inches wide. And then the height will be about 9.5 inches tall. So that's perfect. I think that looks good. So once I've resized it to fit my pillow cover, I'm going to make it, and while that's getting ready to go, I'm going to use my black infusible ink and put it on my mat. And you may think that it doesn't look black, but the infusible ink is a special type of ink, and so it doesn't look as vibrant as it'll come out. So don't let that worry you. So I'm going to put my infusible ink transfer sheet on my mat and stick it in place. And it's important with infusible ink to make sure that your hands are dry, they're free of any oils or lotions, because that will mess with the ink. Okay, so that is ready to go. And on Design Space, I want to make sure that I hit the mirror, because we want the mirror on. So infusible ink is kind of like paper, and it just has the ink sitting on top of it. So you want to think about it, when you transfer it, it's going to go on top, so you want to flip it, so that's why we put the mirror on. Okay, so now I'm going to hit continue, and it's going to connect to my Maker machine via Bluetooth. Okay, and we're ready to load. I'm going to choose infusible ink transfer sheet as the material, and then we've loaded and we're ready to cut. So while that's cutting, I'm going to go and look up the Cricut heat guide so I can get my EasyPress ready. So I searched heat guide, and I'm going to use my Cricut EasyPress 2 today. The Cricut heat guide makes it so easy to just choose which material you're using, whether it's iron-on or infusible ink in this case, and then choose my base material. Today I'm using the pillowcase, and then all I do is hit apply. Okay, so it says that I need to preheat my machine to 385 for 60 seconds. And we will wait for that to heat up while our design cuts. Okay, while the design is cutting, let's go ahead and prep our pillowcase. So inclusive in the heat guide, it also gives you instructions on how to prep and which layers need to go and where so that you get the best heat transfer. So on the very bottom, we'll use our EasyPress mat. This around, and I'm going to look for the inside of the pillowcase. So inside of it, I will want to put a couple pieces of butcher paper inside, and that just makes, that helps with the infusible ink not bleeding onto the other side of the pillowcase. So I have that butcher paper in there, and then we'll also want to lint roll just to make sure that everything is super clean. Want to get rid of any, any fuzzies or any extra particles that would refrain from the perfect transfer. Because if I didn't do this, then the infusible ink would fuse onto those particles instead of the pillowcase, which is what we want. So the difference between like an iron-on and an infusible ink material is the iron-on sits on top of the material, whereas with infusible ink, it actually gets fused into the material, which is pretty cool. Okay, so that is nice and clean. Ready to go. And so as soon as we're ready for the transfer, we'll put the design on here and then put extra butcher paper on top just to protect the EasyPress from getting any ink on it. And we'll go from there. So we'll set this aside for a second. And our design is ready to unload. So we can go ahead and close this machine. And I'm just going to set that aside a little bit. And I'm going to flip over my material so it's easier to peel and so the material won't curl as hard. It still will a little bit, but it helps that. And then I can set my mat aside. And I'm going to use my scissors to just trim down a little bit where I can save some material. Okay, now you can see that my design was cut backwards, and now I'll need to just weed it, so I'll take out the parts that I don't want as part of my design. Okay, and we have finally weighted our designs. The nice thing about infusible ink is it's kind of like a paper texture, so it's not very hard to, oh, we forgot this one little piece here. It's not that hard to weed. You can just peel it off with your fingers, but if it's a little bit of a intricate design, it might take longer than you think. Okay, so this is the fully weeded out design, and you can see it's backwards. Like I said, we'll be transferring on this way, which is why we wanted to mirror it. So let's transfer. We can put this aside. And I will want to just prep the pillow cover for a little bit. So I'm just gonna put some heat to it for a few seconds. And this just gets rid of any moisture that might be in there, and just makes it better for the transfer. And then while that's cooling, because we won't want to put the heat on, or the ink on right while it's heated up. I'm just going to lint roll one more time just to make sure. Okay, then I'm going to double check where the zipper is, and because that's at the bottom, I will want this on the bottom. And then I'm going to measure the middle of this pillowcase. And that is about right here. So if I do that, I'm going to find the middle of my design and put it in the middle. Like that. And the transfer sheet that we cut the design on actually has a sticky backer, so it helps when you're placing your design, it helps to stick it to it. Okay, so that looks like it's ready to go. And then I will put this butcher paper back on top of the design, just so it doesn't bleed onto my EasyPress. And then I will press this for 60 seconds, making sure not to move it around because the ink could move around since it's heated. And when I lift it back up, I'll want to just lift it straight up. Okay, now that I've pressed everything, I can use these tweezers to help lift up the design. And you can see here that it was the perfect transfer. This can be a little hot, so be careful. But you can see that the ink transferred from this cutout design onto the pillowcase, and it is just so cute. And there you have it. So I designed my very own pillowcase, and these are so nice for the holidays. You can customize it for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, for the New Year, or just do a personalized family pillow or whatever you want. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and drop any comments below if you have any questions, or let us know what you end up making.